יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם.
As a public health physician trained in international relations and diplomacy, today's keynote speaker, Dr. Josefino Giambo, has an extraordinarily illustrious career that bridges international relations, global diplomacy, governance, policy advocacy, democracy building, conflict resolution, and of course, public health. She has held a wide range of leadership, management, and senior advisory positions in the political process and public, private, and non-governmental sectors at the national and multilateral levels. Dr. Ojiambo has been a vital asset to Kenya and far beyond, including serving as ambassador and deputy permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations. She has held other very senior positions in the United Nations, and since 2014 is a Deputy Secretary General at the Commonwealth Secretariat in London. In all of her capacities, Dr. Ojiambo is a true friend and tireless advocate for Israel. I could go on, but it's much more important to hear from her than about her, so I will just say that of all of her accolades, the most meaningful, at least for me, and perhaps for you, is that Dr. Ojiambo is a proud graduate of the IMPH program. And it is my great pleasure to call upon my former student and now role model, Dr. Josefino Giambo.
Shalom. Jumbo. Thank you. I'm deeply grateful to be here. I really want to thank my teacher, Professor Yehuda Newmark, and also Maureen and the team who have worked constantly to make this event succeed. You have kept the flame of our candle burning for this event, despite the ebb and flow in waves of communication amongst us and across the Mediterranean. A deep bow to you and to the faculty. Your solid, committed friendship to me over the years bears testimony to the first-class quality of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and the School of Public Health and Community Medicine. I also wish to thank the Peers Foundation, in particular Trevor and his wife, Daniela, for their generous support to this master's program over the years. I was delighted to hear Trevor Peers received a knighthood from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth III this year. I was also pleased to hear Benjamin Sassoon's appointment as Chancellor of this fine institution. Once again, the Hebrew University is in good hands. Lastly, and most importantly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the graduates and their families and friends on this special day. This is a wonderful moment in your lives. For all wonderful things and for life itself, we thank God. Allow me the honor to share briefly in the wonder of this moment. And what a wonderful moment it is, too. In order to be sitting here today, all of you will already have shown intelligence, passion, perseverance, diligence, and so many other important qualities that will serve you well in life. In fact, these attributes are equally important as the knowledge you live with. So you should all be proud at a job well done. Indeed, I see a lot of relaxed faces in the audience today. Perhaps a lot of relief that you no longer have lessons to go to, right? I remember the feeling well. I was once in your shoes. I was a scholar supported by the Hadassah Women's Organization, and today I'm a proud life member of the Hadassah Women's Organization. My membership is that of Nassau County, New York. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't remember a single word of the graduation speech from my undergraduate degree. Don't worry, faculty members, I'm referring to the University of Nairobi and not this august institution. And do you know why I don't remember a single word? Because I was so joyful that I was over the moon with my achievement. I was chuffed to bits, as they say in Britain, don't they, Lord Mendelssohn? I couldn't concentrate on the speech at all. I just wanted the speech to end so that I could go out into the sun with my friends and get my hands on the nearest glass of wine. But by the time I received my master's from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, a few years later, I was a little more receptive to the advice being offered by the speaker. In fact, the lessons I heard that day have stayed with me, and I feel it's my duty to pass these on to you. So graduates, you'll have to wipe the smiles off your faces. Welcome to the final lesson of the year. I hope you're seated comfortably. On this occasion, there's no need for you to take notes, but as my graduation speaker reminded me, I can guarantee you that you'll all be tested, just maybe not today. As the wisest among you already know, there is still a lifetime of lessons for you all to learn, for all of us to learn. Even I, at 40 years of age, continue to learn even today. So today I'd like to share with you some of the challenges I have faced in my own career and in my life, and what these have taught me along the way. My hope is that you'll heed my advice and leave here invigorated at the prospect of a fruitful and rewarding career. But first, some lessons to help you along the way. Now, lesson number 1. Travel far, but remember the path home. Graduates, there's a journey ahead. Today, you will leave this university and seek to forge a career that you take far and wide. As you go, you will face challenges and you will reap rewards. But throughout all of this, remember where you came from and what made you who you are today. A story is told of Mary's well in Enkaram. Mary drank of the waters of this well to refresh herself on the journey to share the news of Jesus' upcoming birth and to receive the news of Elizabeth's soon-to-be-born son, John. Enkaram has always been, and still is, a place of tranquility, of vineyards, cool waters, and refreshment for those that journey. The School of Public Health to which you belong and to which you owe an allegiance is like Mary's well, an oasis of resources. It is your duty now to get the word out about these resources, to work far and wide and share these with the global community. Your contributions to your communities and to the world at large will be the good news that draws others back to this oasis. However, unlike in nature, this oasis of resources does not replenish itself naturally. It requires constant topping up in the form of fundraising in order for it to maintain its position as one of the world's leading universities for public health. In fact, all universities rely heavily on the work of their alumni associations in order to thrive. And this is something I have remembered from a young age, and I hope you will too. While in the United States some years ago, I met the Friends of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. This small group of visionaries has a powerful convening arm. We planned an event over coffee at 2 brief meetings, and within a month, at a grand ballroom at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, we were able to bring together the most successful public and private sector leaders in North America to raise funds for the School of Public Health. We raised over $1 million, but more than that, we provided visibility to the School of Public Health. I spoke at dinner on my experience as a student and the work I had done with the Ministry of Health, with UNICEF, with the NGO world, and then at the United Nations. I was rather nervous addressing this large audience comprising former ambassadors, the governor of the Central Bank of Israel, celebrities, and accomplished leaders in business, medicine, pharmacy, and the arts. But it's at moments like those that one realizes that focusing on the small gifts you offer is the best approach. Only small goals get effective results. So I spoke about safe drinking water and the lives that this often understated resource saves in the developing world. Mine was the speech that made the most impact for a simple reason. I spoke about a problem that impacts so many people across the world, but I informed the diverse audience of the concrete and simple steps the School of Public Health can take in order to have a real impact on so many people's lives. When you can offer evidence-based solutions to problems, you will find people come together around you to support you. I have since worked with the Friends of the Hebrew University in Toronto, Canada, and in London, United Kingdom, and I've made many amazing friends with the Jewish people around the world. And I'm delighted Lord Mendelsohn has come all the way from the UK this afternoon. Their capacity for love transcends both suffering and joy. Together with these Jewish colleagues and friends, we have sought to highlight the work that you as graduates are doing to make a difference. The School of Public Health and the Friends of the School will continue to reach out to you. We wish to highlight your successes and to support you. So care about being effective and being faithful to your calling and to those entrusted to your life. Now, I appreciate that foremost on your mind as you leave today's ceremony will be going back to work, getting a job, and perhaps beginning to pay off some of the debt you may have accrued over the course of your studies. But I ask you to also think about ways you can help the next generation of public health practitioners who will one day become your colleagues and friends. Think of ways you can raise money for the school or even help future students, so long as you're able to give back to others in years to come, and so long as you live up to the investment both you and the Hebrew University of Jerusalem have put into your studies, you will have paid back handsomely what was afforded to you by your scholarship and by your school. Now, lesson number 2, make use of your tools wisely. Today you leave here well equipped with a brand new toolkit, but don't let those tools turn to rust. Use them well and use them often. Remember the toolkit of social epidemiology so that you may lay down the measurements in the theory of change. Remember the spanner of survey methods to determine the needs and factors at hand. Don't forget to carry a can of the engine oil we call the administration of health services, and the coolant that is the wisdom you gained from the team dynamics in the dissertations exercises. Keep the memory of the class work and the field work, the mentoring and the recreation, the culture and the people. Keep these memories alive throughout your days. These tools and these memories will together be the passion that colors your contribution to your community and will ensure you will discharge of your duties with distinction. And remember, you can always add new tools to your toolbox. My friendship with the School of Public Health has brought me back to Israel several times. And while in Kenya, it has been a joy to draw on these short courses offered by the Mashav. Short courses helped us to train in emergency medicine and to mount emergency interventions when we had disasters in Kenya. These short courses also made it possible for me, like I've said earlier this afternoon, working in collaboration with staff from the Hebrew University and with the leadership to put together and set up the School of Public Health and Community Development in Kenya, an institution modeled on the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So I ask that you draw on these courses going forward as well, so that you may continue to build your competencies in your workplaces on your return home. Lesson number 3, never be too proud to receive help Yes, you may have a brand new toolkit, but some challenges require an extra pair of hands, or two. I graduated from this university in 1989. Yes, I'm 40 years old. There's really no need to do the arithmetic. I assure you it all checks out. I graduated with great pride, having attained what in my view is the best qualification on the globe. On my return to Kenya, I was fired up to change the world. I would set out on a project in the Ministry of Health and show all who came by me that I had something they didn't have and that they needed. I would rise quickly and accolades and praise would shower me. But the reality is that though the setting you left will appreciate you, it will not have all the offerings that the exposure at the School of Public Health has provided you with. I soon learned that without a team to work with, to consult, to support me, and to support each other, I would have no impact at all. And so the old African adage reminds us, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Within a few months at the Ministry of Health, I was looking for my yearmates and for other graduates. And so we reached out to the Shalom Club in Nairobi. Here at the club, we met other graduates of programs offered by the Mashav and refreshed our pursuits and vision with the memories of the skills and experiences from Israel. Our gatherings were warm and always left us feeling inspired to keep going. Those of us from the School of Public Health then asked whether we could set up our own chapter or group to inspire us around our special skills in public health. And with a few emails and telephone calls, our tutors, including my personal tutors, Jaime and Rosa Goffin, were on board a flight to Nairobi to visit us and hold hands as we sought to reset our campuses. The Goffins met with us in teams, as individuals, at work, at family settings, and gave us insights from their experiences on how best we could engage as a team in our particular settings. The fire they lit under our feet spurred us forward, together with Professor Newmark, my lecturer, to the setting up of an alumni association and to convening the first regional meeting of the Alumni Association. The first regional meeting was held in Kampala in 2014 in East Africa, and at that meeting we discussed the roles of the alumni and spoke about malaria control and HIV/AIDS, and sought to consolidate and grow the student and alumni network around this issue. None of this would have been possible without working together and drawing upon the diverse experiences and skill sets of my colleagues and friends. For their loyalty and friendship over the years, I am deeply grateful. Now, lesson number 4. Let your work become your passion. Let your work become your passion. By the time I attended the meeting of the alumni in Kampala, my journey had taken me from being a government medical officer to UNICEF, to private health sector, to the Aga Khan Health Services, to being a fiery NGO activist, through to politics, and on to being an ambassador for Kenya at the United Nations. At the time of this conference, I was deeply involved in my career at the United Nations. I was the chief of the executive board and intergovernmental affairs at UNFPA. This is the largest board at the United Nations. Today, as you've heard, I am Deputy Secretary General at the Commonwealth Secretariat, responsible for the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation. This is a fund to which member states contribute their annual payments, and this supports the Secretariat's technical assistance across the Commonwealth. I'm repeating this because there are some who are just hearing me speak this afternoon, including my colleagues from Kenya. This broad base gives me the ability to engage with a wide range of actors across the world stage. So how does my own career provide an example of a coherent, relevant pathway forward? It's really simple. As you travel along the way, be passionate with your calling. Fall deeply in love with life and with your duties, and take risks on behalf of others who need your care and support. No one ever died saying, "I'm so glad for the self-centered, self-protective life I have lived." Well, I suppose some might, but I suppose there are exceptions to every rule. Anyway, along the way, in service to others, I've given of myself to the poor and voiceless. I've worked with young people on HIV/AIDS and their participation in community efforts to increase awareness of this disease. Together with women in small groups in the peri-urban slums of Nairobi, I've provided inputs to health and sanitation linked to table banking. These inputs have allowed women to provide for their families and to focus on their civic awareness. As a composite package, this has improved their welfare and that of their families. The concern for the welfare of families is one that I've shared with women in synagogues in New York, as well as with businesswomen in China. I've trained and shared wisdom with women, some of whom focus their political participation at rural grassroots level, and others who have vied for senior office. Some went on to become ministers of health. Others, like my senior colleague, Dr. Bachelet of Chile, have become presidents. My experiences have taken me not only around Kenya, but to municipalities in South and West Africa. I've worked with heroes of the liberation struggle in South Africa and others such as President Eileen Sirleaf Johnson on ending violence against women and girls in Africa. I received a grant for work at the medical school in Nairobi on ending female genital mutilation from Senator Hillary Clinton while she was in government. I've addressed forums on research and professional medical education with doctors and dentists in global and international settings. At the UN, I spent many hours drafting and advocating for international health, and I'm particularly proud that I contributed to the political declaration on HIV and AIDS, as well as to the setting up of the Non-Communicable Disease Alliance. I mention all of this because these diverse experiences, shared with a diverse group of colleagues, only happened because I became truly passionate about my work. And this passion became the roadmap for my adventure. But just because this adventure was rewarding and fulfilling for me, do not be fooled into thinking it was easy or without difficulty. This leads on to the next lesson, lesson 5. Learn what it means to be fruitful. I'd like to recall a quote from the great Henri Nouwen, the Dutch Catholic theologian and psychologist. We've been called to be fruitful, not successful, not productive, not accomplished. Success comes from strength, stress, and human effort. Fruitfulness comes from vulnerability and the admission of our own weaknesses. End of quote. Throughout my career, I've learned many new things, but this quote of Professor Nouwen captures one of the most important lessons life has taught me. Learn to value ignorance as much as knowledge, and failure as much as success. This is hard to hear on graduation day, but clinging to what you know and do well is the path to an unlived life and a journey without joy. As I examined my own skill set, I realized that I needed deeper skills in advocacy and negotiation, so I set out to gain these at the United Nations through short, hands-on exposures, but I'm delighted that the School of Public Health is now thinking on a tract in this area. So I say to yourselves, examine yourselves constantly, find your weaknesses, and seek out challenges that will help you improve on these weaknesses. Expand your horizons and seek to stretch yourself in everything you do. As you journey, take on jobs worth doing, difficult jobs. Don't be effective and file the reports and the bottom line. Make a difference. Think big. Think of Nelson Mandela, Florence Nightingale, Mother Teresa, Golda Meir, David versus Goliath. Heroes take on impossible jobs and stay fixed for the long haul. They are faithful to their gifts and to the world. And I think this is an important point. Make use of the talents you have and use them to help others. I believe this is something my own son, Peter, who has now passed on, learned early in his life. Peter was wise beyond his years. His wisdom was matched only by his kindness to others and his tireless efforts to use the skills God had given him to reach out to his fellow brothers and sisters. An expert in ICT, he set up a charity in the United States that brought together the young Kenyan diaspora and showed them ways in which they could have an impact on the development of ICT in Kenya from thousands of miles away. Had he not died from sickle cell anemia 2 years ago at 30 years of age, and not long before he was due to take up his scholarship at Cambridge, he would have no doubt continued to think big and use his skills to their fullest in service to others. Having met my son, tasted his cooking, and conversed with him over the years, a group of Jewish diplomats with whom I worked closely in New York came to love and respect Peter as well. Last year, they got together, flew to Israel, and planted 10 trees in Peter's name in the Eshtaol Nature Reserve. They later presented my daughters and myself with a certificate of the planting of these trees from the Jewish National Fund. This touched me deeply. These Jewish diplomats, whom I'm honored to call my dear friends, gave thanks to Peter for a life lived in service to others and to God. And I thank each of them for recognizing his good work. I consider that in 30 years, Peter did what takes some people 70 years to achieve. Peter learned to be fruitful by encouraging others to grow their own talents. In so doing, Peter's successors became the fruit on their trees. And so I urge you to do the same. Go out, try hard, and be faithful to your gifts. Learn what it means to be fruitful, and then teach others through your actions. If you do this, there can be no life better lived. Now I leave you with one final lesson. Lesson number 6, embrace contradictions. Let your altruism meet with your egotism, your generosity meet with your greed, and your joy meet with your grief. Embrace your humanity and wholeness. As you embrace who you are, you give the world an examined gift. If the unexamined life is not worth living, then the unlived life is not worth examining. Graduates, you have been privileged to earn a quality Masters of Public Health and Community Medicine at one of the world's finest institutions. Now your challenge is to remove the obstacles that confront others in their work settings. Be hospitable and approachable. Do not fear diversity, for the fear of diversity is bringing the world down. Transform the suffering that you see around you into things that bring life and hope. Let the love affair with your career and with your life grow stronger each day. And lastly, remember the path home. I thank you.
Yavo shalom aleinu, oh yavo shalom aleinu, yavo shalom aleinu.